East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop DBICB PrimeTime Capper. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. And, man, it is Friday, the 10th of March, man, and we are blazing through 2023 right now, man. It's like literally like, but, you know, you just got to wake up every day and be able to enjoy the day, to be honest with you. So we always say things are moving by fast. You just better be happy that you're waking up every morning and still living this life. You know what I mean? So, you know, it is what it is. Want to send a big shout out to my man as well, too. Not big condolences to the family as well. You know, my man Joseph Tigger Frazier went to John Muir High School. If you guys follow college basketball from about 20 years ago, he played for Cal State Northridge as well. They went to the tournament. They had a little bit of a good game there, you know, in the tournament. And they did win a Big West title as well, too. So, you know, shout out to Joe. You know, great guy, great man. Guy I played basketball with. He's no longer with us now. He had an accident a few years back that put him in, made him bedridden for a bit. So, you know, it's good that he's not in pain anymore. But I just wanted to go ahead and say condolences to him. And, you know, that he was such a good friend of mine when we was in my childhood and everything like that. And I just want to acknowledge that as well, too. So let's go ahead and get into it. Will Jimmy G choose the Raiders or will he go elsewhere? Jimmy G got options. Just think about it. Jimmy G got options. He got the Raiders. He has the Bucks, and possibly somebody say like, you know, the Colts could say, you know what, we don't care. We don't like the rookies. You also have a possibility of him going to a team like Atlanta as well, too, if they are thinking about bringing in somebody to, you know, make sure that they have some security with Ritter. But I would say this. I think that his best three options have already been named. The Raiders, and I would say the Raiders, the Bucks, and the Panthers, because the Panthers need to still really be on the outside looking in when it comes to bringing in a rookie quarterback at this point. They know that rookie quarterbacks haven't worked. They brought in somewhat a de facto rookie quarterback when they brought in Sam Darnold. You know, Sam Darnold was brought in fairly early in his career. You know what I mean? So pretty much Sam Darnold had a great season last year as well, too. So that's what's got me kind of irked, is that you already want to move off of Sam Darnold, but Sam Darnold actually had you about to possibly win your division last year. The reason why I say Jimmy G has options is because think about this. You have a wild card team in the Rams that could possibly want to sign you. Okay. Then you also have the idea that San Francisco might not have any options, and they might have to go back and go get Jimmy G, because there was a reason why they signed Jimmy G to a long-term deal. They felt that he was their quarterback of the future. Then they moved off of that situation when they saw he was a little injury prone. But I said, why would you move off of a situation when a guy led you to the Super Bowl? And then you have this idea that you could have these two younger quarterbacks do the same thing because you had a roster in place to do that. So Jimmy G, if he was to go back to San Francisco, they would have to pay him a pretty penny. But that's like really last option stuff for San Francisco. I think they've told themselves they can move on from this. Now, this is kind of crazy when I say this, but he will be a good backup in Dallas as well, too, since there's not so heavy on Dak. And Dak does have a little bit of an injury prone streak as well, too. You know what I mean? Broke his thumb, broke his ankle, you know, things happen. And going to the Raiders, he would get Devontae Smith. He would have Josh Jacobs if Josh Jacobs is not moved, you know, because he's a franchise. He got franchise tag, so they're trying to work something out with him to where they stick him all around for a long-term deal. And he has potential. You know, you got Waller there as well too. But the thing is, you don't have a defense, and I think Jimmy G is the type of quarterback. If you give him a great defense, Jimmy G is going to look spectacular. But if you have a defense where he's going to have to really go in the game and go back and forth with a team, that's not going to work. And I know Jimmy G is going to look at that factor as well too. And also, Jimmy G needs to know that he has an offensive line that's going to protect him, because once again, he's another guy who's a little injury prone. And then also the Raiders will have to overpay for him, because they have this idea that they can draft a quarterback, pick up Jimmy G, and Jimmy G will mentor that quarterback the first year or be a mentor while that quarterback is starting. I don't think Jimmy G wants to sign up for anything like that. He's at the tail end. He's literally at the tail end of whatever prime or whatever it is of his career. I know that he wants to get at least 2 or 3 more years as a starter. And I think the Raiders need to be able to commit to him in that facet and form. And that means that you don't get a quarterback within the top 10 picks. You know, I keep screaming Hendon Hooker for the Raiders, because the guy's hurt already. He has great upside. He probably was going to be the number 1 quarterback going into this year's draft if he didn't get hurt. So I think the Raiders can look at that option and hope that that guy can drop to the second round. So, you know, all in all, Jimmy G going to the Raiders seems like the logical thing, but is it the smartest thing for him moving forward? The Raiders, yeah, they would get a QB1, they would get themselves comfort, idea of comfort, but that doesn't necessarily equate to a winning quarterback. You know what I mean? So we'll see how it goes. But the Raiders will pursue him next week, and we'll see what the news is. Jimmy G will probably be the most popular story of next week. And simply with the Raiders saying that they want to pursue him, the Raiders will be right there as the team that is trying to bring him in. But I've got this feeling that Jimmy G is going to make a last-second decision where it will not be the Raiders. So there it is. There it is. Let's move forward from there, and let's get into Tim Tyszu and Tony Harrison. Tim Tyszu and Tony Harrison fighting for the 154 belt, set the square off in Australia. And Tony Harrison looking for redemption here, looking for opportunity here to become the number 1 contender and the mandatory for Jermell Charlo, a guy that he has fought twice. He beat him the first time. Jermell knocked him out the second time. So this is a grudge match that needs to happen, but it was avoided somewhat because Charlo wanted to move on. He didn't want to keep fighting the same guy over and over again. And, you know, Tony Harrison was very good at getting under Charlo's skin. So I don't think Charlo likes having press conferences with this guy too much, because he really, really goes to bat on him and really goes to bat on, like, literally who Charlo is as a person. So, you know, that if you can't sit in the same room as a person, then you start to get a little hesitant on wanting to do business with that person. But in this situation right here, if Tony's able to earn himself a victory here in Australia, he'll have the opportunity to get that third fight, because I know Showtime will probably demand that third fight happen, because it's a mandatory fight and Charlo is not going to want to give up any of his belts. Tim Tyszu does present a dangerous fighter for Tony Harrison as well, though. And Tim Tyszu is the favorite as well. So there's a lot of things working out in Tim's favor, because Tim labeled this as a get busy fight. And get busy fights are regulated to guys who weren't former champions. Tony Harrison was a former champion. So that's a big diss in itself. You know what I mean? And I know that's something that a lot of these guys, because they're getting so hyped up, they got this idea that they're already here. But Tony Harrison's actually a step-up fight for Tim Tyszu to prove does he belong in the same ring as a Charlo? That's my biggest question on this. So this isn't a stay busy fight. This is a show and prove fight for Tyszu. And this fight right here is a crossroads fight for Tony Harrison, because Tony Harrison loses this fight, he probably will not be getting the call anytime soon to fight for any championships unless he steps it up to 160 and then becomes a stay busy fight for whatever 160 champion there is. But that would be a tough fight for that champion as well too. But I feel like this is a crossroads fight from going to fighting the elite guys to just being a gatekeeper. And Tony Harrison is a guy that I feel has still got too much time left in him to be a gatekeeper. But that's how the feeling was when I saw him fight last year at the Virgin. And he even was kind of, I wouldn't say he was down, but he was very subdued. Like, he was very quick to say, okay, let me get out of here. But he did have a little bit of an issue with my man Louis Ayres, because Louis Ayres did throw a duck at him while he was doing his press conference. So I'm still surprised they didn't get their fight on, but that probably will be coming up very soon once we get done with this Tyszu situation. So if he loses, he'll probably fight the Louis Ayres fight next. But I think that all in all, that Tony Harrison has an absolute big shot to win this fight. And I'm actually going to bet him to win this fight as well, too. Let's go ahead and look up the odds real quick before I move on. But I truly do. Okay, breaking news has just came in. Breaking news. Real quick. The Carolina Panthers have just traded for the first pick in the draft with the Chicago Bears. They're going to move the Bears are going to move back to 9th, while the Carolina Panthers have moved up to 1st. So now the Carolina Panthers are in a position to say, how you like me now? So it looks like that they made the big move happen just about 3 minutes ago. So if you guys are watching or looking at the online, or you guys need me to give you guys some news because you can't see it, there it is. Chicago Bears have moved out the #1 spot and now have been jumped. And now it's all about the Carolina Panthers. And for the first time ever, the Carolina Panthers will hold the #1 pick. Well, no, it's not the first time ever, because they had the Cam pick. I'm so sorry. But this is the first time they'll have that pick since they drafted Cam Newton. So there it is. There it is. The trade finally happens. And man, it's crazy because it just broke. So, that's something that we'll talk more about on Monday as we get more details on that deal. But Tyszu, Tony Harrison, let's go ahead and get the odds real quick for this one. Man, and this fight is going to be, it's going to be good, man. It's going to be awesome. And I'm getting plus 195 on Tony Harrison. That's a remarkable number. I think I'll probably get 200 before. I want to see if there's 200 anywhere, but plus 195 for this one. And this is going to be for the WBO, not the WBA, the WBO interim belt. Okay. And then you have, and also updated odds, Caleb Plant is plus 235 in the David Benavidez fight. And then Jermaine Franklin is going to be plus 600 for his Anthony Joshua fight. And the odds have not came out yet for Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia. But I do expect Tank to be the favorite in that fight. All right, so there it is. Tim Tyszu and Tony Harrison get it on tomorrow night, 7:45 start in Australia as well, too. So that fight will be starting pretty late, like probably about 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, something of that nature. Probably 11, you know what I mean? So it's going to start pretty late. So get yourself ready to stay up a little bit all night, all my East Coast folks. So there it is. There it is. That's Tony Harrison and Tim Tyszu. Let's move on and talk about some UCLA basketball. UCLA in Vegas right now, and they are trying to take care of their business in Vegas as well, too. They have themselves a very, very tough game tonight against an Oregon team that's 20-6. That's 20-6 in Vegas for this tournament. So they've won their fair share of these tournaments as well too. And so pretty much they have themselves a very good idea about what's gonna go moving forward. So I think all in all, we have ourselves a very different we have a very different view of things in a sense, you know what I mean? And I think that UCLA, a lot of people felt like UCLA was going to get a little shock value because they lost their best defender in Jalen Clark, but they're the best defensive team in the nation. Everybody plays defense on this team. Jalen Clark just stands out because Jalen Clark is willing to sacrifice points to play great defense. Now Amari Bailey has to step it up and become that guy that was a five-star recruit. Five-star recruits are supposed to be your alpha, and he never has been the UCLA's alpha at all this season. Even though he averages 10.3 points per game, he only played in 25 of the allotted 32 games because he was hurt for a bit. Now, he hit 2 big threes to start that game off yesterday. That was crucial to his confidence within that game. He wound up finishing up with his best game of the year with 26 points. For a guy to start playing his best basketball at this point is absolutely incredible and what much needed. You have some good guys coming off the bench in Andrews and McClendon. Those guys kind of get me excited because I can see some good things with them happening in the tournament. Nwaba is a 4-year senior who should be another good guy off the bench, but it's all about JJ and Tiger. You know what I mean? JJ and Tiger are the guys that make this boat go, and then David Singleton chips in his great 3-point range as well too. You're going to get at least 2 threes from Dave each game. So this team is shooting the ball much better than they have than any of those teams over the last few years that have dominated for UCLA. So when I look at this group, I really do feel like things can work out in the right accord. Now, Oregon does have themselves a group here that is just some hard workers. Even though their top player only averages 13.6 a game, there's still a hard, gritty 13.6 with Fali Dante, and he's the center. Then you got Cousinard, who balled last night, and he's looking to have a big night as well too. But they don't have big-time scorers on this team, okay? But they do know how to lock it up like they did last night. And UCLA knows how to lock it up. So I do expect this game to be much better than it looks on paper. But UCLA has had their way with Oregon this year, and that might be some motivation for Oregon coming into this game. You always feel like it can get a little tricky with your teams if it doesn't, if things are in this accord. So I truly do feel like UCLA is up for it tonight before they have to play in a very tough championship game, regardless of who their challenge is going to be. It's either going to be Arizona State or Arizona. Both will be a tough task to play against. So we'll see how this one shapes up. But I do feel like we are on to something here. And UCLA, let's see how it goes. The game will be on the Pac-12 network tonight at 6 o'clock as well, too. All right, let's go ahead and move on to 30 teams in 30 days. We have today, and I know I skipped them yesterday, but I'm coming back to them today because I should have did the Rangers today, not the Mariners. The Mariners, 30 teams, 30 days. Mariners finished second place in the AL West last year and wound up being in the playoffs as well too, and got themselves a playoff series win before going against now their arch rival, the Houston Astros, and losing 3 straight in the most emotional form that you can lose them in. They literally lost every single game on final at-bats for the Houston Astros, and the other they lost in extra innings at home, and they were leading in the game. So it was crazy how they led in every single one of those games and still lost. So 30 teams, 30 days. We got the Seattle Mariners. 2022 record was 90-72, one of their best marks in the last 20 years as well, because the Mariners were a team that was very, very, very stagnant for a very long time. And then they found themselves back in the playoffs for the first time in a long time. So you have a team that has a lot of makings to be a very, very dominant team this season. Luis Castillo is going to be the ace of this staff, okay? And Luis Castillo is ready for some revenge after these last few years in Cincinnati, where he was their top pitcher, but Cincinnati, where were they going? You have Robbie Ray, who's projected to strike out 212 guys next year. Robbie Ray might be the best reacclimation project in the MLB today, because Robbie Ray just a few years ago was like a laughing stock pitcher because he was pitching for the Diamondbacks at the time, and he was not good. So Robbie Ray now is pitching at a high level. You still got Marco Gonzalez as well too, a very comfortable pitcher for you. Then Logan Gilbert, who had a pretty good season last year, returns. He's projected to throw 171 strikeouts. And then George Kirby is the wild card, in my opinion, here. But he is set to have a pretty good ERA at 3.56. It's just that, will he be a guy that goes a lot of innings? That's the question. But they might have the best starting rotation projected in the American League West, if not the American League. They have a good group. If this group can somewhat build their confidence up as the season goes, Seattle's a major player. Then you bring in Colton Wong, a straight winner from St. Louis. You have Julio Rodriguez, as I said before, a possible MVP candidate who is looking to be possibly the first 30-30 guy in some time, meaning 30 home runs, 30 stolen bases. And he can definitely go ahead and get that as well, too. You have Ty France, who's an excellent first baseman. He is a guy that hits for average very well as well, too. He does strike out a little bit too much and doesn't get in as many walks as you would want him to, but he's the guy that's supposed to be in the 3-hole. Then you have Tio Hernandez, who is the big trade piece that they got. They have him projected to hit 29 home runs this year. Agunio Suarez, they have him projected to hit 28 home runs this year. So they have almost, it looks like 115 home runs sitting up in here. And then when you add in Cal Rowley, the catcher, you're like, this team can hit a lot of home runs. But I think the veteran presence of A.J. Pollock will be exactly what the doctor ordered. You know, A.J. Pollock did play in the World Series. So that's pretty huge for this team. You know what I mean? And he won a World Series. And I think that's going to help this team out moving forward. But he's going to be a part-time player because he's a DH. So you have J.P. Crawford, defense. That should be something that's pretty good for this team as well. A good little consistent hitter. And then Jarred Kelenic, the other outfielder, is projected to hit 16 home runs and have 51 RBIs this year. I think that he's going to be more of a platoon player than anything, but he has some good numbers that they're projecting as well. When you look at Seattle, it's just like, wow, this team is going to be good, and they're going to be really good. That's the idea that you're getting right now. So them going over 88.5 games is absolutely a steal to me. I think that, you know, you're getting free money here. I think that this team is going to challenge the Astros on who the winner of this division is really going to be. So how do we see it shaping up? And this is how I see it shaping up. Under 95.5 with the Astros. Astros are still a playoff team to me this year, but they may not be a 100-win team this year. We got the Angels over 82.5 this year. Angels probably have the best hitters in this group, let alone because it's Shohei and Mike Trout. Those two right there, if they can just be somewhat dominant, the Angels should be right there in the mix of everything. Then you have the A's 59.5 under. I think that the A's are a team that's building for the next decade, and they're over here deciding, are they going to go to Vegas? Are they going to go to San Antonio? Where are we going? Because Oakland ain't going to be it. Then you have the Mariners, who are at over 88.5, and I have them over 90 here. So I know I kind of tripped right there by putting them over at over 90, but I feel like I put over 90 because I feel like they're going to win over 90 games this year. So we have that factor as well, too. So pretty much you have the Rangers over 82. I think the Rangers will be a much improved team from the 68-win team they were last year. I talked about that yesterday. And I just truly think that when it all comes down to it, the Mariners go ahead and cash that ticket this year. I had them winning this division last year, and I said they're going to go ahead and make good by it for me this year. So I'm taking the Mariners with the plus 550. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. And that's going to be our AL West preview for you this year. And that's going to wrap up the AL West. And next week, we start our National League talk with the National League East start Monday. and you guess, and you already know who's up on the docket first. Just guess. Just guess. Yeah, the Florida Marlins. So be ready to talk about the Florida Marlins, all my Floridians. So there it is. There it is. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to take a quick commercial break. And when I get back, we're going to jump into State of the Lakers, NBA Friday night, and Talkin Tickets. So you guys stay tuned. This is the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Cappers.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune into Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
All right, here we are. Here we are. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Lakers, state of the Lakers. State of the Lakers. The Lakers. Lakers is over here just making everybody just, excited again. It's so funny to see people who quit the Lakers 12 games in coming back and saying we and what we're going to do and all that stuff. It's no, go stay where you were at. Go back to rooting for the Warriors or the Suns or whomever you liked, for this time. You know what I mean? Because you didn't like the Lakers because you said you didn't like the Lakers. You know what I mean? So you can't just be coming back and forth. The bandwagon is too crowded, okay? The Lakers don't need you. We don't, So I look at this team and I say to myself that I love everything about them. I said that, you got guys that play like they know that their career depends on it. That's exactly what I see all the time when I see guys like Vanderbilt doing everything that you're supposed to do in a game. Also when I see, guys like Beasley make it look so easy when they're on with their 3-pointers. Then you see a guy like this, D'Angelo Russell, before he got hurt, he brought that confidence back to AD. And AD needs D'Angelo Russell more than he needs LeBron. Because the thing is, D'Lo knows how to play with big men. And I think he's going to be able to really feast off of the fact that AD is playing such stellar ball right now. So these two can go ahead and do that Kobe Shaq thing, and I think they'll be fine as we move forward to this playoff spot because the Lakers right now are in the play-in. There is no more 13 spot. They are in the play-in now, and they are in position now. And the Lakers tonight, they have a game that we feel is the easier game because the Knicks are going to be a tough game. They are going to be tough, okay? So there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The Knicks are playing some of their best basketball last night. Yeah, they lost to the Kings yesterday, but they only lost by 2 or 3. So that team was on the brink of winning that game last night. So, that's where your mind is at. But then at the same time, the Lakers are sitting in the 9 hole. The Lakers are very happy to be sitting in the 9 hole at this point. They're only a game and a half out now from the actual 7 hole as well, too. So there's a lot of things working in their favor. You got the Clippers who moved back into the top 6 with Golden State. So Phoenix, Clippers, and Golden State all are in the mix for this. It's crazy because you have all 5 teams now in the playoffs for the Pacific Division. And then you have 4 of the Pacific Division teams all at 3 through 6. So this is absolutely incredible because I've never seen anything like this. Now, Sacramento does have a 2.5 game lead over Phoenix, and they have a 5.5 game lead over the Clippers, and now a 6.5 game lead over Golden State. And then they have a 7.5 game lead over the Lakers. So all in all, Sacramento, it's up to them not to blow it, but they probably will because they're winning all these games now, but it's going to get tough here in the next, I would say the last 3 weeks of the season is going to be very tough. Okay. So the Lakers have won games that nobody really felt like they were going to win. They took 3 out of 4 from they've taken 3 out of 4 from the Warriors. I think they took 3 out of 4. I'm trying to remember who else they took 3 out of 4 from because they have just been able to Memphis, they have a great record against Memphis. I think they're 2-2 this year against Memphis. But they have enough going in their favor right now that gives them the look of being a team that can absolutely wreck the playoffs this year. If I keep saying this, if you put the Lakers against, say, Memphis first round, they're putting them out because they already are in Memphis's head after what happened with Shannon Sharp. All right. Now, if they say draw Sacramento, that'll be a tough series. But I think that the Lakers can work their mental out to where they can beat them, even though Mike Brown would love beating LeBron because, Mike Brown literally lost his job because of LeBron. All right. So with that, we have ourselves a Laker team playing against Toronto tonight. Toronto's coming into the game tonight with the idea of still playing as well, too, because they are chasing a playoff spot as well. Toronto's sitting in the 9 seed, just like the Lakers, 32 and 35. So they're not too far apart on records and things like that. But both teams really need to win tonight. But Toronto is kind of comfortable right now because they still do have a 2.5 game lead on the next team outside of this. Even though they only have a half game lead over Washington, they have a 2.5 game lead over the team that's sitting in 11, which is Chicago. So Toronto comes into this one tonight right now 1-3 in the month of March, and they have struggled because in their last 5 they've actually dropped 3 out of 5. Now, they lost by 8 on Wednesday to the Clippers. They had a bad shooting night that night. They just couldn't get into it. And, they had a game against the Nuggets where they were up and then they blew the lead late in the fourth quarter. So, they are sitting in a position now where it's like, we got to get right. And they might be pressing it a little bit. And that's perfect for the Lakers with a team that's pressing it a little bit. Because the Lakers are 3-1 this month. They've won their last 8 out of 11 games as well, too, because they finished last month in good form as well. They've won their first 3 out of 4 games. They won their last 3 out of 4 games last month. So this team right now is 6-2 over their last 8 games. And it's fun to watch. And, they said 7-1, but I'm looking at it right now, and I said I think they got that wrong because ever since the Golden State game, LeBron went out on it was the Denver-Dallas game. So ever since that Dallas game when LeBron went out, the Lakers have won 3 out of 5. So they're doing well. They're doing very well. And since that All-Star break, the Lakers have just stepped it up huge. So it's just a lot of good things working out for the Lakers right now. And there's but this is a must-win situation. So we'll see how it goes. But the Lakers tonight, looking good, feeling good. D'Angelo will be back, and Mo Bamba will be out for the rest of the season. because he's out for the next 4 weeks, but they'll reevaluate him to see if they can put him in the playoffs. But I think the Lakers possibly will be picking up a big man or bringing one up from the G League like Cole Swinder. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into our next game, and that's going to be this one right here. It's going to be the Sixers and the Blazers. And this is an old battle from a 70s finals where the Blazers beat the Sixers. Very, very highlighted situation as well, too. That kind of helped basketball become a staple of the country as well, because Bill Walton won that title that year, and Bill Walton was a big-time player at UCLA, so it was kind of a huge thing, and it's still the biggest moment in Portland sports history as well, too. So I just want to give you guys a little history that these two played in the finals against each other. So they've actually dropped 3 out of 5 here to start the month off, so they're 2-3. They did win 2 in a row, but they did lose their last game to Boston, losing by 22 points. Now, they did finish up last month losing 3 out of 5 as well, so this team is going through it right now. So in their last 10, they are in their last 10, they're 4-6. So they're trying to stay above water, but they're drowning right now. This team is sitting in the 13 hole, and it was all good just a week ago because they were sitting in the 10 hole for the longest. But now they've just went on they've just been absolutely getting wrecked in these losses as well, too. They losing by 11, 18, then losing by 22. You know, the Blazers are really just playing off of one guy, and literally they either are going to win by a little or they're going to lose by a lot. That's just been the story of the Portland Trail Blazers this year. So when I look at this game, this is another one where it's going to be a tough ask for them, because you have a Philadelphia team chasing the 2-hole now, even though they're 2 games behind Philadelphia right now. But 2 games behind Boston, but they're also chasing the Atlantic title as well, too. And once again, the 76ers off to a great start for the month. It seems like they start off every month very good. The first 10 games, it's like, the Sixers are just bulletproof. This team has won their first 4 out of 5 this month. And they had some close games most of this week. You had a close one with Milwaukee last Saturday. You had a close one with Indiana. And then they went ahead and took care of their business Tuesday night, getting a 23-point win over Minnesota. They've been off since then as well, too. So they got 2 days, a 2-day break after having to play so many games in a short amount of time as well, too. They played about 5 games in 7 days. So, this team got a break, and the much-needed break. And tonight, I just feel like the 76ers are going to dominate this thing. I like them with the 9. They're at 9 now, so I think they win this game by 10 points or better. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But Blazers, Sixers should be a good one. All right, we have the Hawks and the Wizards tonight. The Hawks coming into this game. The Hawks right now are 33-33. While you have a Wizards team that is 31-35 right now. And the Hawks are looking to try to gain some traction. They're 2.5 games back, 1.5 games back from Miami right now for the Southwest and the 7-hole. They're both up in here kind of pining on who's going to leapfrog Brooklyn. We all know Brooklyn's going to wind up being a playing team now. So, pretty much who's going to leapfrog them, Atlanta or Miami? They're in a pretty close race right now. I do tend to favor Miami in that spot, but tonight Atlanta has to deal with a Washington team that has been a thorn in their side as well, too, but they did get a good win against Washington the other night, beating them by 2. Now, they're 2-2 for this month, and they are looking to go ahead and get this win tonight. They got Boston tomorrow, Minnesota Monday, and Golden State on Friday. So this is all on the all at home as well, too. So they got 3 home games coming up. And then they have then it kind of mixes up, and then they have 3 more home games to end the month, and then they end the month with Brooklyn on the road. So they are looking at a pretty favorable schedule after you take out Boston, Minnesota, and Golden State. Playing San Antonio, Detroit, Indiana over here in the next few weeks. That should be fairly helpful. Brooklyn as well, too. So I can see this team actually being a bit better at the end of the month. The Hawks So we'll see how this one shapes up. But I think that the Wizards are in place right now to make a nice move. They might jump everybody, even though they've lost their first 3 out of 5 this month. They are looking to bounce back. It seems like that they're able to always bust even in these back-to-back same team games. And then Sunday they have they're at Philadelphia, play Detroit on the 14th. Then they're back in Cleveland playing them on the 17th of next week. And then they have another back-to-back situation where they'll go ahead and play Sacramento next Saturday. So this team is alternating a lot of home games and road games right now. So that's pretty much how their month is. They don't have any back-to-back road games this month, but they have a few back-to-back home games this month. So Washington is a team that you have to be on the lookout for, and I feel like they're going to be a team that's going to actually play up to they're going to actually play up to a standard that nobody expects. So I look at this and I say to myself, I love the over 238. I feel like both teams are going to be scoring tonight. So we'll see how this one goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But we got the over 238 with the Wizards and the Hawks tonight. Now we have the under 212 tonight going. We got the 212 with the Cavs and the Heat tonight. This is a close game. Once again, this is another toss-up. It was a toss-up the other night. I actually had this game for my clients. I had the Heat. The Heat wound up losing the game the other night. We had them at plus 110. But tonight, I think the Heat are seeking some revenge, and the Cavaliers have been coasting a little bit, taking it easy, having a good little time. Miami has lost to everybody this month but Atlanta. They're 2-3. So they want to get this one back because this is another back-to-back against the same team, and this is a part of a 5-game homestand as well. So they do want to end this one, this homestand, 6-game homestand, actually. They do want to end this one on an even note. You know what I mean? 3-3 means that you guys are 500 for this. So they've got to keep things in perspective, and you can't blow a 6-game road trip like that. Home trip like that. You can't lose 4 out of 6. You just can't while you're chasing playoff spot. So they got Cleveland tonight, then they got Orlando tomorrow on the back-to-back, but that's nothing because they just got to go up north and play them in Florida. Then they come back around Monday night and they have 2 more games back at home, Utah and Memphis, and then they're off until Saturday and they play Chicago in Chicago. Then they have a Sunday night game against Detroit. So they got a few back-to-backs coming up as well too. They actually have 2 back-to-backs coming up in the next 2 weeks. So this team is probably going to get put through the meat grinder at this point, and they are up to the task. Now, the Cavaliers are kind of in a good spot because when you look at their situation, the Cavs are absolutely crushing the Central this year, other than Milwaukee being ahead of them. Milwaukee 7 games ahead of them, but nobody's surprised by that. And then you have everybody else behind them by a lot. The Bulls are 11 games back. Indiana's 11.5 back. And then you have a Detroit team that's 26.5 back. So, tonight I just look at this one and I tell myself this is a scoreboard watch. This is nothing other than that, nothing more, nothing less. So that's where I see it. I see it as under 212.5. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. We move forward from there. All right, we have ourselves the Nets and the Wolves. The Nets and the Wolves. This is going to be a good game. You got the Nets coming in here as a plus 12.5. Well, no, you don't. You have the Nets coming in here as a plus 4.5. Over under 226.5. The Nets, I feel like the Nets should catch somebody slipping tonight. I'm gonna keep it real. I tried to use that angle the other night and it backfired. That was actually last night, where I had them beating the Milwaukee Bucks, but they wound up losing the game by 5. So actually, no. That game was me. Let me look exactly what I did because I can't remember off the top of my head. And I know you guys are like, you're supposed to memorize everything, Pop. I'm not Rain Man, fellas. Sorry. Yeah, I had the Nets on a plus last night. They had the plus 9.5 last night. Now, they covered. So pretty much that's the 3rd day in a row where I had a cover of 8 or better cover plus. And it didn't win, though, like the other two did for me the nights prior, like the Hornets and the Bulls this week, who won as big dogs this week, but I gave them out as insurance plays with the spread. So pretty much we have Brooklyn trying to get themselves right. They're 3-2 this month. That's something to tip your cap to as well, because you're expecting Brooklyn not to be that good. Now you have Minnesota, who's won 2 out of 3. Minnesota easily could have lost their first 2 games and been, 0-3 right now. But Minnesota's doing all the small things to get these victories, and pretty much they know that they are not going to win their division, but they are chasing the playoffs right now. They're sitting in the 7th hole, so they know there's no guarantees for the playoff either, but that's what makes it that much sweeter, right? So they got Brooklyn tonight, they got Atlanta on Monday, and they got Boston on Wednesday. 2 of those games are going to be at home, and 1 game is going to be in Atlanta. So then they come back and they have themselves pretty much a weekend where they're on the road Friday, Saturday, and Monday. That's going to be Chicago, Toronto, and New York. So they have them in place, and then they have another 3-game road trip, Golden State, Sacramento, and Phoenix. And then they finish up the month with the Lakers at home, and they also play the Hawks on the 22nd at home as well, too. So, they have things working in their favor, but they're chasing a playoff spot just like the Lakers. And so pretty much tonight, Minnesota may overstep this thing and not take Brooklyn as seriously as they should. And I feel like every time Minnesota doesn't take a team as seriously as they should, they wind up losing that game. They've lost a lot of games this year to teams that they should have beat. And I feel like this is a game where people feel like the Wolves should beat the Nets, and that's just not the case, because these teams are all have professionals, and they're all trying to step it up and have a big night. So I'm going to take the Nets with the plus 160 as my dog of the day. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. All right, let's go ahead and be real simple here. We got the Nets and we got the Nuggets and the Spurs. This is not anything that we need to pull teeth about. It's a 13-point spread right now for the Spurs at home. The Nuggets, 46-20 this year. Spurs, 16-49. Of course, it's going to be a one-sided betting affair because everybody's jumping all over the Nuggets. Now, do the Nuggets cover this game? I don't think so. I think that the Spurs have enough to cover the game tonight. I don't think that they win, but they have enough to cover the game. Now, the Spurs are one of the worst teams in the NBA. They're second to last in the Western Conference, and it's understandable. They lost 2 in a row to Houston as well, too. They wound up losing this last game to Houston by 32. So they're going to have some motivation tonight because they just got cooked. You know what I mean? And so pretty much they lost their last home game by 12, and that was to Houston. They're a 13-point dog tonight. Now, what have they done against Denver this year from what I'm looking at? I'm trying to find what they've done against Denver this year because I know they played, and they played back-to-backs, and Denver won both of those games back-to-back. One by 25, the other one by 6. So they're seeing each other again, and this will be their opportunity to go ahead and try to, add a third win on there and actually sweep the Spurs this year as well, too, because they're only playing them 3 times from what I see here. So let's see how it goes. They're trying to sweep them, and the Spurs, I know them. They're going to sit up in here, and they're going to really try tonight. So we're going to see how it goes, but I do like the plus 13. Now, the Spurs for this month, they're 1-2. And then Denver for this month is going to be 2-1. So, all in all, it should be a good game. And, they just lost their last game by 21. So, don't run to the bank and think that the Nuggets are a lock. You got to realize they did lose their last game by 21 points. And that will linger into today because what are they really playing for? Let's keep it real. You know what I mean? They are already going to be in the playoffs this year. And they're going to probably be the number 1 seed because everybody is scrapping it up to just get into the playoffs. So there it is. There it is. All right, let's go ahead and jump into my favorite subject, your favorite subject, and that's going to be talking tickets. So let's go ahead and jump into these talking tickets. And up first, we have ourselves the CBB PrimeTime PK6, CBB PrimeTime PK6 plus 5 to Iowa State. St. Peter's money line minus 105. Sam Houston 2.5 tonight. Plus 5.5 to UCF. And then Arkansas with the plus 100. And then we have UCLA with the minus 5 tonight. So these are very, very fun plays for me tonight. I think that these are all cashable, so you can single what you like here as well too. So let's hopefully we get them all home so we can go ahead and cash the reward. So 51-1, small risk, big reward. Put $20 on it, you get back 1020 on it. And I'm talking about 1020 meaning $1,020. All right, so we have ourselves the BailOut Pick 4. The BailOut Pick 4 is for all the late games tonight. I know usually it's a dog day Pick 4, but when I looked at my CBB list and everything like that, I said I didn't have enough dogs playing later on tonight, so I'm gonna have to go ahead and adjust this thing, and we'll make it what I love, a BailOut Pick 4. BailOut Pick 4 is always, for me, which pretty much is a late Pick 4, but this bails you out if you miss my plays all day. So pretty much plus 7.5 ASU, minus 8.5 to Kentucky. Fullerton, the guys that I have winning the Big West tournament at plus 130 tonight in their semifinal. Also have Utah State winning the Mountain West. So, you know, I got to rock with them with the minus 130. So let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. But that's going to be a 13-1 ticket. Then we wrap it up with the NBA Super High Five. We have a 33-1 ticket with the 9.5 on the 76ers. We also have a over 238 with the Wizards and the Hawks tonight. We also have the under 212.5 with the Cavs and the Heat. And then we also have the Nets money line plus 160 as our NBA dog of the day. And then we wrap it up with the plus 13 on the Spurs, and this will give us a 13-1 ticket. So let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. But that's going to be Talking Tickets for today, and that's going to be our show for today and for this week. So I'll be back to you guys Monday. I'm probably going to start a little early, about 10, 11 o'clock Monday morning, so we can go ahead and get real heavy into the tournament and everything like that, because we'll have all of our seedings and all of our stuff available. So then I can break down each region for you guys, because that's what I'm going to do Monday. I don't care about your NFL stuff. I don't care about your college football stuff. We only talking baseball and hoop. We only talking baseball and hoops come Monday, all right? So if you want to tune in for that, that's what you're going to tune in. I'm only giving you a heads up, because ain't going to be no water cooler football talk come Monday. We got the tournament announcement coming up Sunday. That is going to be a very, very intriguing show for a lot of people who are looking for those winners in college basketball as well too. So once again, I thank you guys very much for tuning in. And as always, bet with your head, not with your heart. The movement is moving. And this is the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Capper. And I'll be right back at you come Monday. And I am gone.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.